Thank you for joining this Workday reference webinar featuring CapTech's. My name is Ryan Wendt, and I'm a member of the customer marketing team at Workday. For our webinar, Workday's Mark David will give a brief introduction to Workday PSA. Next, our customer speakers will give remarks regarding the CapTech Workday journey. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Mark David, Workday's Senior Director of Industry Strategy.
All right, thank you, Ryan. As Ryan had mentioned, I'm part of our industry strategy team. I'm focused on the professional services and technology industries. I'm going to be for Workday for professional services businesses. And before I hand it over to CapTech, we'll talk about what we're seeing as key industry challenges and provide an introduction into the Workday solution footprint for these businesses. So let's get started. Professional services businesses are unique. They're people-based businesses where people are the products of these firms. So when companies are making business process or technology decisions, they need to put people at the center of these decisions, and they also need to understand the interconnectivity between these business processes. So here first, you can understand from the beginning how to best attract and find talent or create a very robust and healthy worker supply. How to ensure that you have a clear view of your workers' skills, their education, their background, with clean worker profile data, ensuring that you properly educate them, especially during the onboarding process, but also provide a framework for continuous education, making sure that you can efficiently assign resources and perform project-based team management, automating the billing, the financial accounting, and then providing the appropriate planning tools for those that need it, and also real-time analysis tools to understand the KPIs and your business performance. So you should look at this holistically when you're considering a platform for your professional services business. One interesting observation about professional services businesses is that even though people are at the core of these businesses and projects, customers are the key drivers of revenue, you still tend to see some lack of investment in core HR and professional services automation or PSA solution categories. This study from SPI Research about a year ago indicates that still over 30% of professional services businesses have not put in a formal PSA solution. And even more surprising is that over 40% of these businesses have not put in an HCM or invested in HCM. So let's take a look at the impact of people and talent and some of the KPI impact that this has on professional services businesses. So on the left, you can see the typical attrition rates that we've seen within the professional services business. So professional services typically have attrition rates anywhere from high single digits to even as high as low 20%, depending on the markets they serve. So this can have massive impact to their customers. So here people, again, are kind of the products, they're your revenue streams. People are assigned to customer engagements, they're billing for their expertise. So if you lose a valuable high expertise player, this has direct revenue impact to your business. So also we're seeing that certain firms that make the proper technology investments, with HCM being a center point of that, also see direct impact to their top line. So again, as we talked about traditionally, PSA firms have not invested in HCM and supporting HCM processes, but you see the clear connection between firms that have implemented HCM, connected that into their financial solution, and this has a direct impact on their business process, their efficiency, and more directly, this metric, their revenue growth. I want to spend a little bit of time introducing PSA solutions. I think most of us working in the professional services industry understand or have worked with professional services automation solutions, but don't want to make any assumptions. So professional services automation, or PSA, provides operational control, so it runs the operational side of your business. So this includes your resource assignments, your project management, project financial tracking, project time expense entry, and your project billing. So these types of solutions, they can be consumed by a large variety of businesses, including obviously traditional professional services or consulting organizations where people are these firms are billing for their people. Also, other solutions and other companies can utilize professional services capabilities. So for example, software companies with an embedded professional services division, or financial services organizations conducting billable time or expense on behalf of customers. So this next slide shows you some of the value realization possibilities for professional services automation solutions, especially for those firms that have implemented or adopted PSA. So we see that firms operate their projects more effectively and realize 11% improvement on project margin. So a 100 million revenue firm, let's say you have 100 million in projects in a given year and you're operating at a 40% margin versus say a 45% margin if you're using PSA, and you can realize a direct revenue or margin impact of 5 million a year. We also see that our traditional metric in the professional services industry, so utilization, is greatly increased if you use PSA. So it's increased by 4 percentage points here, and each percentage point has a major impact to professional services business, both on margin and revenue. I would like to give you a quick introduction of Workday and our footprint for the professional services industry. So you see that we have a robust platform to support an end-to-end process for professional services providers. We provide a full stack HCM and people and talent capabilities, so your core HR functions, your talent, performance management, so that's where those skills and the worker profile data gets populated and consumed. Information around their absence, their time, integrated to payroll, so your recruiting functions, your compensation, and on the demand, on the fly learning management solution. Workday, we do not provide a CRM, but we connect to many different CRM providers, and we actually have, for those using Salesforce, our financial management connector on the Salesforce App Exchange, but we also connect to other CRM solutions. We provide a full stack, full service professional service automation capability, and all the contract to cash functions that you would need to provide your customer rate sheets, your project billing, your revenue recognition, your customer accounts and collections. We provide a full capability around financial accounting, capabilities around operational procurement, business assets, and then of course our integrated Workday planning solution through Adaptive Insights, and our out-of-the-box analytics. So again, we feel we provide a unique approach for professional services businesses. So talent's an organic part of our solution. We have the HCM, the talent management parts of our solution that are tied to PSA and our financials capability. We provide you an intelligent resource matching process, so we utilize those facets around your workers, their skills, their education, experience, performance, their compensation when you're performing resource management decisions. We provide a full capability around automating your billing and revenue recognition. Of course, we keep billing and revenue recognition separate, so you could bill on a schedule, whereas you recognize revenue maybe on a milestone or vice versa. We provide full global capabilities, including transfer pricing. Workday is a modern solution. We have analytics out of the box. These are real-time analytics. You don't need a separate data mart. You don't need to transition any data. So we have scorecarding, we have dashboarding, we have reporting functionality that's real-time out of the box on our platform. And we also, as mentioned, our modern solutions. So we have a mobile-first environment. We have hundreds of thousands of people utilizing our mobile application in professional services, and you can go out there, do a quick Google search, and you'll see that we have a very high user satisfaction, user rating, and reviews with our mobile app. So with all this, I will turn it over to the folks at CapTech, but quickly, I just wanted to let you know that this approach, this one unified modern approach, also is seen by industry analysts as a market-leading capability. So this is the IDC MarketScape for PSA ERP applications, and you see that Workday has a leadership position, especially on the strategy dimension. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Heather and Kirk from CapTech, and they're going to give you a little bit of background around their journey on Workday and the benefits that they're seeing utilizing our unified approach.
All right, thanks a lot, Mark. I am Heather Long, Chief Financial Officer for CapTech Consulting. I've been with CapTech for many years now and was a primary stakeholder in our Workday implementation.
And this is Kirk Stepp. I'm a Director of Enterprise Applications. I joined CapTech just shortly after our Workday implementation a little over 2 years ago.
So to tell you all a little bit about who CapTech is, we are an information technology and services firm. Our team of software engineers, data experts, visual designers, and transformation leaders work with clients across the country to deliver the next generation of software solutions that solve complex business problems. So we have offices in 8 markets. We have clients in 13 industries. And for those of you on the finance side, we are a US-based firm, so we have a single entity structure. So to talk a little bit about our challenges before Workday, I think the best summary of our situation was silos. So we had many different systems for both internal employees to access, as well as those of us in sort of the power user internal functions. That made things really difficult to report. It made the employee experience poor. There were many places to go and maintain the same information and duplicate it exactly the same way. There were data quality issues and governance problems, and we spent a lot of time trying to make sure that the same information was replicated across our tools that were inconsistent and best, and the data continued to become stale quickly, and we had no means to really update that. So to wrap it all up then, we had many manual processes to try to support all of these different tools that were disconnected and unrelated. So we were trying to, again, validate and audit that the same information was being presented across all our various tools. And as we look to the future, we discovered that the foundation of our internal operations really needed an upgrade. It was preventing us from really accelerating on our growth plan, and that manual tools and process coupled with a poor employee experience really wasn't going to launch us to the place where we really wanted to go. So our catalyst for change was really the need for a foundational system that covered all aspects of our internal operations. So the human elements of our business, the payroll, talent, time, expenses, coupled with the financial and project management pieces of our business, really needed to reside in one supported space. We needed to be able to make real-time decisions, and that meant having the right information in the right format, presented to the right people at the right time. We needed to be able to empower our employees to minimize their sort of internal activities and to help them focus on their billable work and supporting our clients. So when we came to the sort of exploration phase of the foundational system sort of project, we looked at many of the large providers, many of whom you're probably looking at as well, and trying to compare Workday against those other tools. We looked at PeopleSoft and Oracle and NetSuite and AltiPro, and many of the competitors in that space are working toward a cloud model, but we really felt like a native cloud solution was the best fit for us, best fit for our business in terms of having a mobile workforce, a diversified and decentralized structure for managing. We liked that all of the information would be in one place. There would be one version of the truth. there would be one security model to govern and access information. We felt like the reporting and dashboarding capabilities in Workday were really strong, and that we liked having that continuous improvement built into the Workday sort of foundation, and their bi-yearly releases to sort of refresh the user experience and to continue to make strides across all aspects of the Workday domains. And then another important factor was that the Workday tool is being used by many of our clients, many of whom are Fortune 200 businesses. So we felt secure in the decision that it was a tool that could grow with us for sure. So in October of 2016, we took the big leap. We went big bang, full platform Workday implementation. At that same time, we implemented Salesforce as our CRM tool. So we basically took everything that we'd been using previously, whether it was spreadsheets or portal sites or Word documents or other sort of tools and or homegrown solutions. We decommissioned them, essentially brought them all dark on 9/30 of 2016, and then 10/1 we went live fully on Workday. So we have almost all of the Workday modules up and running to some degree. We did not implement planning, we did not implement recruiting, but we are using Workday for all of our financial transactions and financial management of our business, all of our project transactions, time, expenses, project reporting, and so forth. And just a little blurb about the box on the bottom there. So when we started the journey, we had 600 people and about 7,300 transactions a quarter. Now we have 1,000 people and growing, and we have more than double our financial transactions a quarter. And 2019 is the first time that I, as the finance leader, am going to our board and management team and asking for an additional resource to help with the workload and growth associated with our financial operations. And that really is less to do with Workday capabilities and more to do with supporting our clients in their systems and their tools. So less to do with Workday, more to do with them. So we've been able to remain a lean, flat internal team supporting Workday through an impressive growth curve.
Great. So when we think about Workday, we can really look at kind of some key areas where we've really realized the value within Workday. So the main area for us as a professional services organization is really the key insights and our ability to optimize our projects within Workday. So we're able to have a better handle on staffing, more line of sight and visibility into when resources are going to be available. And we're able to really compare and contrast performance across different accounts. So where do we really want to invest our thought leaders and our SMEs in different accounts? Then the big area too is just overall analytics and reporting. So with Workday, we're able to leverage the dashboards, real-time access of data, and really just be able to see all the data that drives really that metric. So we're big fans of composite reports, and with that, you get to kind of drill into data fields. Anytime you see a blue number, that means there's data behind it. So you can click into it and see what that number represents. And that's been real valuable for our users because now they have that quick metric or that quick number, then they can see where did that data come from. The other big value that we got out of Workday, and it's not necessarily geared towards professional services, it's just an overall corporate initiative, is coaching culture. So in 2017, we launched our coaching culture, which consists of continuous feedback, changing kind of the nomenclature of a manager to being a coach, and really there to help facilitate growth within you as an employee. And that includes kind of tracking of goals, doing mentorships, and really kind of consolidating our performance cycle. So without Workday, none of that really would have been possible. Prior to Workday, we were doing quarterly reviews depending upon when your hire date was, just to kind of help the burden on employees, on people managers, because of all the documentation they're having to kind of aggregate to really facilitate a performance review. It was just too much to try to do it all in one time. So now with Workday, we've been able to consolidate all that into a single process, and it's been much easier to kind of live with and maintain. Then the other big thing is really that single source of truth. So in our old environment, people were exporting data out of the tool. They were putting into Excel. They were then putting in PowerPoint and kind of doing presentations off of kind of their own flavor of a report or data as they understood it. Now with Workday, everyone's running the same reports. They're all looking at the same dashboards. So you're not having to wonder, is this the correct calculation of a certain number? And then lastly, it's mobile capabilities. So the thing we really liked about Workday is the mobile capabilities of being able to access this anytime, anywhere. So with our employees being generally probably staffed on a client site, they may not have access to the computer at all times. So they're going to be able to enter their time, enter expenses, and do all that stuff directly from their mobile device and not have to necessarily always log into their CapTech computer to do so. So I wanted to just kind of walk you through some of the kind of real life value that we've gotten out of Workday with some screenshots that we have. So what we're looking at is a dashboard that we've created. So this is a custom dashboard. Kind of this shows you the value or the power that you can get directly out of Workday. So I spoke earlier about kind of a single source of truth. One of the things that our leaders would do is all of our office leads would have a monthly meeting where they would aggregate data, put it all in a PowerPoint, and then review that with the executive committee. One of the issues we had is, number one, we were receiving 15 different requests to pull the same data. And then number two, there were 7 or 8 different versions of really the same data presented in a different format within a PowerPoint. So there was really no consistency. So it's hard to really compare one office to another just by the style of how the presenter was aggregating the information. So our solution here was to create a office dashboard. What you're seeing here is an actual screenshot from our office dashboard. The numbers have been kind of masked a little bit, so they're not going to add up to real numbers if you pull out your magnifying glass. But what's cool about this is in the upper left-hand corner, we've taken kind of the Workday logic and made it kind of work for a specific use case we had. So all of our offices have playbook objectives. So this is a kind of a stated goal that they have for that year. Not necessarily a number target, but something they want to be able to track status and have comments associated to. That's something that we're able to now capture within this dashboard. In the middle, we have our KPIs for that office. Then over on the right, we have links to key reports that an office leader will want to use from time to time. So this has all been cataloged and is available for them. Further down the dashboard, you'll see other reports. So the key call out here is we've now created a dashboard that we can look at for one office. Then by changing a single filter, we now immediately start looking at it for another office. And through the use of scorecard metrics, this dashboard actually runs very fast. It only takes a few seconds to render. So in our meeting prior to having this in Workday, they would go across multiple PowerPoints and wait for somebody to hand over ownership and all that stuff within the WebEx. Now, literally, we have one person that will open up this dashboard, open the first office, change the filter to the next office, and just keep rolling. So it's a much more efficient meeting, And rather than spending any time questioning where the data came from, we all know that it's correct. This next dashboard is for our account managers. So one of the difficulties that we've had in the past in our previous system and is really being able to kind of look at that whole account. So what we've done through some creative problem solving is we've created a dashboard that aggregates all of our projects for that account and summarizes it so that we can look at how are we doing against our account target. So at the beginning of each year, we'll set a target for where we want to be with that account. And we can then look at the revenue that we've earned throughout the year against kind of our remaining contract backlog. So we can see how far will we go past our target, or are we looking to come up short and therefore need to drum up some business. And then just like in the Office dashboard, we have this catalog of reports. So this is helpful rather than our account managers having to spend time looking for or reminding themselves of what a report name was. They can just come here and it's all right there listed out for them. Now, dashboards aren't just limited to number-based. It can also be for initiative. So this here is a screenshot of performance and feedback status. So as I mentioned, we rolled out coaching culture. So a key part of that was having quarterly check-ins or yearly reviews or tracking feedback counts to make sure that people are actually engaging with the system. So we're able to create a dashboard that allows our HR leaders to quickly log in and see, has everyone submitted their quarterly check-in, or how's our performance review doing? And then they can compare that within the offices to see, do we need an additional communication, or do we need to talk to our office lead in that office to help encourage their team members to complete their check-ins or their objectives. So dashboards aren't limited to numbers, as I said. It can really be for any objective that you have within Workday.
So as we look at benefits for our PSA program, I would say that one of the key factors for us has been, as Kirk suggested, that ability to compare across offices, compare across customers and accounts and projects. So being able to see that performance in near real time has been a game changer for us. So additionally, we are not creating and reporting on stagnant information that, as soon as we put it out there is immediately outdated. So that's been hugely helpful. There's a single system to maintain. So if we get it right in Workday, we get it right. And then we are continuing to improve our central staffing visibility and forward planning on, do we have the right people lined up for the right work at the right time at the right rate? So that is the key to our business's profitability. So if we could, looking back on our Workday journey, sort of encapsulate the top 3 or so things that we would suggest as lessons learned. For me, I think these have probably changed a little bit over time as we've gotten farther away from the deployment and are sort of in our stabilization and enablement phase. But I would say that it's super important to recognize and plan for the fact that training and adoption of the Workday system requires ongoing support, focus, and resources. It is a continuous learning curve, especially if you are in growth mode as we are. We are adding hundreds of new people every year, so their experience with Workday is probably 0 when they come on board. So we've really needed to kind of recommit to the idea that training on Workday is continuous and evolving. So coming back to deployment, I would say carefully select your partner. I know that it's sometimes difficult to figure out the best match, but I would interview 3 to 5 different implementation firms and try to understand sort of best fit with where you are in your capabilities. Along with that, I would say don't underestimate data conversion, training, and change management at the point of launch. Data conversion and change management, we spent lots of effort on that immediately, sort of leading up to our deployment, and it's a pretty heavy lift. And then I would say to try to avoid what I would call implementation fatigue. So getting that sustained sort of commitment and resource sort of allocation to your project as you move through implementation and into stabilization, I'd recommend that you stay focused on continuing to deliver quickly some of the benefits that Workday offers, particularly around key reports and dashboards, and making those available to your executive team and your leadership team so you can kind of keep the momentum going from go live.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that we saw, or that we did, is by enabling our leaders to have access to good reports and dashboards very early on after our implementation, that kept them excited at using Workday, which then had a trickle-down effect to where our new managers were seeing that the executive leaders were using Workday, so they kind of recognized, hey, if they're using it, I need to be using it. So that was a real big win for us. And then the final thing I'll say on kind of the lessons learned is you're going to walk out of the implementation. It's going to be a tough, long project. But the thing that you have to look forward to is, unlike a locally hosted system, this is going to be probably the worst day of Workday, because Workday just keeps getting better. Whereas a self-hosted system, you're probably going to start adding in customizations and little things here and there that are going to kind of cobble it together and kind of inhibit performance and make it kind of a worse system. But with Workday, by the continuous deployment of new features, when we look back at what we had 2 years ago, the features and things that have been released and the things that we've configured and reports that we've developed were light years ahead of where we were 2 years ago. So it really is neat to see the growth of the platform, and then ourselves, the growth as users. So our whole user base is much more comfortable with it. Our finance team is much more comfortable with it. And it's been a great journey that I think we all appreciate having been on.
Thank you, Heather and Mark from CapTech. To find out more, please visit us at workday.com.